Hello everybody and welcome to this, my second episode of Starter Starcraft, where I, a new player in Starcraft 2 multiplayer, will attempt to improve my game by reviewing my replays and just trying to see where I went wrong in my losses, where I went right in my wins, and where I can just improve in general. So this game I've chosen to review in this format because I make a number of key mistakes that can easily be identified, and they're mistakes which you shouldn't really make because they're quite simple, but regardless, they're quite important ones to point out, just so I don't do them again in future, hopefully. So let's speed it up because it's going to be a bit of a slow start. Very standard start here. Initially I'm going for a quite fast second base. As Zergs, this is just what you do. Spawning pool, queens, you know, droning up, pretty standard stuff. But then, as you can see here, my scouting with my first two overlords results in me realizing that my opponent is not in either of the close to positions. These two being closer because obviously they're just straight up and straight across as opposed to diagonally across. And this is important because if your opponent is closer to you, they're more likely to try for some kind of aggressive play. Obviously on such a big map, this 4-player map, it's much less likely that they will go aggressive. But regardless, what this means is that once I've realized this notion, I go for a very fast third base. And this in itself I think is fine. Unfortunately he does actually scout it, somehow with his SCV, so that actually leads to what happens next, as you will see very soon. But yeah, a fast third base when I'm safe enough to go for it, I think is absolutely fine. Like here, as you can see, I've got loads of minerals, so going for another hatchery to sink kind of 300 of those minerals in that hatchery is absolutely fine. Getting another queen, increasing my economy, droning up. So here I'm going towards saturating, which is great, making a creep tumor, spreading creep, fantastic. So here, if we just go back up a bit, as you can see on the map, there is something quite terrifying approaching at great speed, and that is two medivacs full of marines. I believe they've only got stim at this point, but if we take a look at what units I have to defend against this aggression, oh dear, I seem to have forgotten to make an army. And there is literally no excuse for this, as you can see on my minerals, I have all of the minerals. I could make, you know, 20 Zerglings and not bat an eyelid. And that is bad, that's really bad. Like, one of the main basic things of StarCraft to do is spend your money. Unless you have a very good plan of what you're going to do with it, which I obviously don't, being a new player, just spend your money into whatever you can. Like with this kind of gas and minerals, I could have gotten a Roach Warren, which I didn't get by the way, which was another big mistake. I could have got Hydra Nest, I could have gone for like a decent sized Roach Hydra Force at this point, but I don't. I mean, I could have got more Overlords, which is another thing I probably should have spent the minerals on. But as you can see, I've got no way to defend against this, and so he drops the Marines on the high ground. A cute little trick here, as my drones obviously can't deal anything to do with that, and wipes out pretty much my third base in terms of drone population. So takes out a queen, wipes out my what I thought was a fast third expansion, and it probably was. But the problem with this expansion was that it led me to believe that I didn't need to make an army. And as you can see now, I've panic made a whole bunch of Mutalisks, bunch of Zerglings, but the Zerglings have speed and +1 melee, but that's not really all that great against Marines. And neither are Mutalisks when the Marines eventually get fully upgraded. Like, a good force of Bioterran, from what I know, just shreds Mutalisks. And another reason why Mutalisks were a bad choice were because I'm only on 2 bases, and Mutalisks are super gas heavy units. Like, let's just take a look at the upgrades. So Evolved Flyer Carapace level 1 costs 150, 150. And I imagine that Flyer Attacks level 1 was also 150, 150. So if we add those two together, coupled with the cost of... let's just have a look at this. If we can actually do it, we cannot, so that's annoying. But yeah, if I remember correctly, Mutalisks cost 100 gas. So if we just go back a second to when I roughly made them, I only have 840 gas. So with that in mind, I could have gone for 8 Mutalisks, or if I'd made a Roach Warren, I could have gone for a whole bunch of Roaches, plus upgrades probably. Maybe only one upgrade, but still, I could have had a much more sizable force, and therefore actually stood a chance to defend against this. Admittedly, he had Medivacs, so I wouldn't have been able to chase him that effectively, but then, after fending off and scaring away his Marines, I could have very easily gone Hydra Nest into Hydralisks. But I don't do that, and I go into Mutalisks, and this results in me just having no way to defend my third base, as my army is just way too small to do anything, and that really does suck. As you can see here, I kind of fend off his Marines temporarily, and at this point in the game, I still haven't lost. Like, I've still got all the minerals in the world. I can quite easily make another hatchery if I want to. I can make another 2 hatcheries, one down there, one up here. But I don't do that. And this was a really big mistake. Like, the fact that I'm still focusing on Mutalisks is so detrimental to my army size that even though Mutalisk is a fairly good unit, especially for harassment, by itself it can't take on a complete, well-rounded Bio-Terran force. But what could take on that kind of similar Bio-force is a healthy mix of Roaches, Zerglings and Hydralisks. And what's nice about that kind of army is that it's much more flexible. You know, you can mix and match Hydralisks with Roaches. If you need more anti-air, you go Hydralisks. If you need more kind of ground attack, you go Roaches. Then into Ravagers. And Zerglings, you know, just soak up some shots and get in the fray. So here you can see that despite going for a fast expansion, which in itself was fine, my later unit choices, mainly my choice to go Mutalisks, was really bad. Like, really, really bad. So, despite the fact that going Roach Hydra or something similar would have been much better, at this point I could still potentially expand and make another army, as I'm not out of the game yet. But if you take a look at all those minerals that I'm stacking up, I don't do anything with them. So let's pause here, as obviously the Terran Death Ball is arriving, and I still have a tiny, tiny army in comparison, and comparatively upgrade-wise, as at some point he will get +2/+2, and I don't even have a full +1/+1 yet on anything. So if I'd made like 3 Overlords and then, you know, 20 Zerglings or whatever, I maybe could have stalled for more time against these guys. But I don't, and this is probably the 3rd biggest mistake in this game. I'm not spending my resources as effectively as I could have. As even now, when I've lost a fight, I'm somehow not spending all of my minerals. And I should be able to. All I have to do is make, you know, 3 Overlords, a bunch of Zerglings, and call it a day. Admittedly, I still wouldn't be in the best position to hold off this heavily upgraded force now, which has +2/+2. But, you know, I would have had an army to speak of. And at this point in the game, all these mistakes compounded result in me being way, way behind. As you can see, he's got what is that, 4 bases. Sure, he's mining out of his first base, but you know, he's got 3 extra bases of which to mine from. And all props to Enemy, the dude I've been facing. His micro was really good and his drop harassment was really solid. Clearly a good player. It turns out he wasn't actually ranked yet, so I'm guessing he was on some kind of Smurf account, just having fun. So yeah, that was kind of shitty, but you know what? I learned a lot from this game, so that's absolutely fine. So yeah, at this point it's clearly over. He's got a massive economy backed by a really well upgraded kind of bioforce. So in short, what went wrong this game was my composition, my army composition, which was really poorly chosen. Like, going into Mutalisks did not benefit me at all. And I think part of the reason for that was that my micro is not good enough to use them properly. Like, to use Mutalisks well, I believe you have to have good micro to the point where you can just easily send them across the map, you know, harass a mineral line, back up, harass another base, back up, you know, that really standard kind of fast-paced micro play. Similar to what he's doing with his drop harassments. But I'm not that good yet, and therefore Mutalisk is probably the wrong unit for me to go for. And as I did mention, a much safer composition would have been Roach Hydra, Zergling, Baneling, Roach, or I don't know, anything basically. As those basic units would have been so much cheaper, I wouldn't have needed to go into Hive Tech, or which I'm pretty sure I do at some point. And that's why I've got this really weird infestation pit here. So yeah, the army composition was pretty terrible in terms of that choice, and also my spending could have been way better. So let's just take several points throughout this game. Yeah, loads of minerals. Loads of minerals. Loads of minerals. So my spending is just awful. Like, I don't know. I need to focus more on that. Spending and figuring out what army composition to aim for, as that is a big part of StarCraft 2 and RTS games in general. You have to see what your opponent is doing and then figure out what units you want to build to counter that. But I think that's enough of the bad side. Let's look at what I did good in this game. I think that my macro was actually quite good. So I went 3 bases quite fast, and before the 3rd base kind of got destroyed and everything just collapsed for me, I think my macro was really solid. I was getting injects quite regularly. So, I mean, here I completely forget to inject, but that's because everything is still going horribly wrong. But yeah, the first part of the game was fine. It's just everything after losing that 3rd expansion that it was bad. But regardless, this was a really informative and interesting game to review and to play, and I got a glimpse at what really good Terran players can do. So yeah, I found it a blast. That's pretty much going to be it. I don't think I'm going to do another recording, another replay in this episode, as this one game was, I think, enough to talk about. I kind of showed off the importance of making a good army composition, as well as spending your money as much as you can whilst you have it. And I think that's where I'm going to leave this. Oh my god, do you see this production? Damn. Yeah, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. So I'll be seeing you in the next episode, hopefully. I will be doing more of this, as StarCraft 2 is extremely fun on multiplayer, and yeah, I'm having a blast just learning the game and getting better at the Zerg race. So thank you for watching as always. If you want to see more of this, I will be doing more, so drop a sub to be notified of when my next episode comes out. And if you want to discuss what happened in this video or give any pointers, leave a comment in the comment section and I will be sure to reply. And if you liked what you saw here, drop a like, and I will greatly appreciate that. So as always, thanks so much. Have a good day. Ta-ta.